I'm really terribly sorry to interrupt you, but I just haven't introduced myself. My apologies. I am Jonathan Waters. You can call me John. I'm one of Chief's associates. Can I pull you aside? He wants to talk to you, but doesn't want to come into town. He's at the Red Barn, the industrial barn.
Well, I am not the kind of woman to allow my personal angers to get in the way of good business, and I'm not asking Chief to stay out of town. But, quite frankly,
No. I'm aware. He actually deeply regrets the way that he spoke to you, and he wants to apologize.
I have heard
But
this
out of a
before.
sense of his own pride,
I don't really give a shit about his pride, frankly. His pride is what gets him in trouble. And I don't mean to be crude or short, because I know that you're just the messenger here, and I know that you're trying to be diplomatic. And I don't have any problems with his other people. But I have some severe problems with the way that Chief does business and with the way that he's done relations with me and my staff. I tolerated it once when he came here with absolutely no evidence and accused us of selling him and his people to the masquerade. Something that is an absolutely atrocious accusation, and that I shouldn't have let him get away with the first time. Now, I am certain that at some point I will be able to talk to him civilly and control my own tongue, because I don't want to devolve into insults and that sort of stupid bullshit, because it doesn't get anybody anywhere. But I have done nothing but bust my ass for months to feed people, to help people, to broker peace across this entire country, and I'm not going to stand on the edges of my town and have another man look at me and insult my intelligence and call me woman the same way you'd call a dog.
I understand. And, he just wanted to pull you aside to apologize to you. Whenever I mentioned his pride, that was him not wanting to come into town and be booed by
Well, I
all the
think that
people down
that's
there.
probably quite exactly what he deserves, frankly. And I'm not going to demand it. But if I were Chief, I would let everybody cool down for a little while. And then maybe he ought to do a little bit of walk of shame and think about the ways that his own mouth gets he and his people in trouble. I've watched he and his people run and run and run for months and talk shit on the radio, and it's the same every goddamn time. I don't want to see people hurt. I don't want to see lies and rumors get spread and get so big that people end up starting wars and killing. We've just recently ended I don't even know how many of those. I don't want there to be bad blood
Yeah,
between
I'm
us,
in the
but
same boat with
some of it's just gotten damn stupid.
you. I understand. I'm in the same boat as you. I don't like seeing all the bloodshed, and I saw enough of that up in the Northwest. I'm not originally part of Chief's group, but I'll respect what you're saying, and I'll relay the message. And I appreciate you hearing me out, ma'am.
I
Just know that he does have an intent to apologize.
I think that
He regrets
ultimately
what he
Chief
said.
is a good man. I really honestly do. I honestly believe that deep in his heart he wants his people to be safe. I honestly believe that he feels an obligation to do what he thinks is right to save them and keep them. I really do. I just think he also runs off half-cocked, full tilt sometimes with his mouth going ahead of him before his brain gets there.
I'm inclined to agree with you on that statement as well. But, he's been through a lot lately, and from what I understand from what he's told me today, he just stepped off of a plane that didn't exactly land the correct way, and the things that he's experienced in the last few months, it's been a lot of infighting and things
Sir,
along that nature. I don't even want to begin to...
while I can empathize with that, I have lost 50% of my clients to suicide. I have lost my best friend in this country. I don't know where my first lover is here. I think that he's gone on a psychotic killing spree and is hiding in the woods when he's not tearing people to bits. The second attempted relationship, well, he left my heart sort of thumping on the hill. I watched all of my school colleagues get eaten by the infected. I've lost my entire family and will never see my homeland again. And my story is not even the worst. My story's not even the worst around here. So while I empathize, I simply cannot allow that to excuse. He has no reason to talk to me in such a way.
It wasn't
He's...
the things that you said that set him off. It was Bardov and his meandering into conversations that he doesn't exactly quite belong in, and from my understanding, he does this quite often.
Yes, well, from my understanding, Chief really likes to come here to the center of campus and run his mouth, and so I can't imagine why he's surprised when spectators want to get involved in what really ought to be private, controlled conversations.
I think it was originally
Sir, this is a public campus. There is no such thing as a private conversation here. We're not even having a private conversation now. There are people roaming these hills. There are people coming in and out of this town. And there always will be. Everybody knows that if you want to come and talk to people, this is the place to do it. So if Chief expects privacy, standing out in the middle of Delina Road is not the place to get it.
You're exactly right. I hadn't thought about it that way. I'm not familiar with this area, or really what this town is. Again, I come from the west, but I see kind of what it is.
See, now you're in the middle of this, and this is something I've seen from other people before, and it's not cool. You seem like a perfectly cool gentleman, and you're in the middle now of a situation that is very complicated and has been going on for months in a way, and you're trying to apologize for a man who ought to have enough balls, if he's a leader, to come down that goddamn road and talk to me himself. And you and I both know it.
Yes, ma'am. You're right about that. I actually offered to do this for him, and I figured a cool head might be the better option to come and explain things from a neutral point of view. And I like to help. That's my thing. It was my job before this, and I feel I'm inclined that it's my job now. Chief and I come from very similar backgrounds. We get along and think a lot alike. He's just progressed more than I have. I was a marshal. I was in the U.S. Marshal Service. That's actually how I ended up here. The plane in Cherno, I was transporting a prisoner and it went down. I was lucky to have gotten out. But I worked in the marshal's office for about 7 or 8 years. Mostly fugitive retrieval. It's not nearly as exciting as it sounds. I promise you that.
No, I can understand. When it puts you in between people with rough situations, it's often...
Yeah, the job was mainly about anywhere from 2 to 7 hours in a car every day with a set of binoculars and hoping that the air condition didn't fail on you.
Oh, that sounds pretty damn miserable right there.
Yeah.
Look,
Could be.
I used to be a clinical counselor before all of this. And I know that everybody has been through hell. And I know that Chief is one of these people, and I'm not the kind of woman to hold a grudge. I'm not going to tell Chief not to come to Delina. I'm not going to turn services away to other survivors, because that's not the kind of person I am. All I ask, and all that I have ever asked, is that he treat us with respect and be honest with me and my staff. If you're going to make accusations, come to us with evidence. If Thomas is a problem, if Thomas really is that dangerous, then I really do want to know about it, because he's hanging out with my adopted daughter.
Okay. There's one thing that I was told that maybe you should know. I don't think it was gotten around to saying this, but he, you know how Thomas has said that he doesn't want to use weapons and refuses to carry one, correct? He pulled a firearm on Chief out of his own bag not too long ago. And he's also, we've got one other eyewitness account from weeks prior that he pulled a firearm out of his bag when
I'm
he thought
aware.
no one was around. Now, I don't see that as a big thing, but
Well, you
Chief
see,
is
I think
upset because he feels he's been lied to.
I think some of this is down to miscommunications, and this is what I've been trying to get both of our groups to work on together. We have been trying to train the kids to use weapons. And we have been trying to provide them with weapons that they might be able to use that won't knock them over. The girls continuously lose them or give them away or something. So far, if Thomas... I don't want him waving weapons around for no reason, of course, but it's my understanding that they also threatened his friend. Now, we can't on one hand tell him that he's got to be the man of the house and defend himself and his friends, and then on the other hand, get pissed off when he does. And if Chief is going to get up in his face, and other people are going to berate him for not being a man, what do they expect?
That makes a hell of a lot of sense. I can't say I blame him for that.
And
There's
in
a
the
lot of things
meantime,
in this situation that
there's an actual threat outside of both of our groups. There is a man who believes that by scaring the children, he is making them tougher. He believes that this is the appropriate treatment to cure them of their fear.
no, it's just a good way to scar them for life.
Yes, it's also a good way for them to feel like that they can't tell the secret because they're afraid that other people will get hurt. Do you realize these children are running around with a burden like that? They're trying to keep the rest of us safe by not talking about it.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Luciano knows.
I'll be sure to inquire about it.
You should. And when you hear about that story, you may begin to understand some of the ways that the children are behaving and some of the stresses that they're trying. I know that it's not the best solution, but they're kids growing up in a broken world. Just like I said to Chief, they're making hard decisions about how to survive every single day. And it's a hell of a lot harder when you've got the grown-ups that you're supposed to trust, the people who are supposed to be taking care of you, yelling at you and interrogating you like you're just a criminal. It's gonna make him break.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, Alyssa, thank you for your time. I'm gonna have to cut this conversation short.
I
My radio's
understand.
going off, but thank you.
Please extend my apologies to Chief. Allow me to also, because I've done the thing that I abhor, which is let my mouth get ahead of me.
Yeah, but you were well within your rights to do so. I don't think that's merited an apology. Things got out of hand and you reacted to them as well. A person in a leadership position of a facility such as this should. And I think that it reinforces your authority here. So, there's no need to apologize for that. And I'm sure Chief would say the exact same thing on that account. But, again, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, John. I appreciate it, and in the end, I do hope that we can work things out. It sounds like there's yet another emergency to go look into.
Alright, ma'am. Yep.
Be safe.
Have a good one. You too, Alyssa.
Sure gonna try.